IGH is a unit that says I. The GH is silent. The I is long. And it usually comes in the beginning. No, not the beginning. It never comes at the beginning. It usually comes in the middle or the end. End is just once in a while. Middle is almost always. And it's almost always going to have a T after it. So let me say that better. IGH usually comes in the middle of short words that end with a T. I'll write it down. IGH usually comes in the middle of short words, one-syllable words that end in a T, such as light, right, bright. I know I love I too. If you can think of any IGH words, let me know. Might, sight, tight. There's a lot of them, but they're usually one-syllable words and they usually end with a T. So today in our lesson, it might seem a little easy because our words are all going to be one syllable, which isn't usually the case in our lessons. Usually they're multi-syllable, but today I want to keep it nice and short so that that rule is consistent with what you're going to see in the real world, and they're all going to end with a T. If the word that I give you today to practice doesn't end with a T, don't put IGH. For instance, if I tell you to spell the word prive, spell it that way. If I tell you to spell the word prite, spell it that way. So for those who can't see the chat watching the recording, prive is P-R-I-V-E. Prite is P-R-I-G-H-T. Another example, if I want you to spell the word bife, no, I don't want that one. I want vide is going to be spelled V-I-D-E, but vite is going to be spelled V-I-G-H-T. So here's what I just did. If we're spelling a short word that has an I sound in the middle, you're only going to use IGH if the last letter is a T. Okay? IGH belongs in the middle of short words that end with a T. Otherwise, you're going to use an I consonant silent T, which is going to be the next most common reading pattern. You can see the chat in the recording if you are not in the full screen. That's good to know. Thank you, Nathan. So apparently you can see the chat in the recording if you didn't hit the little button to see the full screen. Oh, that's lovely to know. Thank you. All right, let me share my screen and let's get going. So the first word I want you to spell, well, we're going to spell this one together, is fight. I know it sounds like an F on the mic, but I am not making an F sound. I'm putting my tongue between my teeth and blowing. Fight. So let's do that one together. So we have F, I, T. 3 sounds. Consonants first. TH spells that Th sound. I'm putting a T at the end. And since it's a short word meaning only one syllable. And you can tell if it's only one syllable if there's only one vowel. That qualifies itself as a short word. If it's a short word that ends with a T, I'm going to spell the I sound with an IGH. There's fight. Your word is splight. Splight. Go ahead. That's all right, Nathan. Who's perfect? Not me. That's clear. Your word is splight. Splight. Make sure you have the same number of lines as I do. Splight. Okay. Excellent. So consonants first. We have s, p, o, and t at the end. Since it's a one syllable word that ends with a T, I'm going to spell the I sound with an IGH. Okay. Number 2. Chite. Chite. Let's do that one together. Ch, I, t. Consonants first. Ch, I, t. Now to spell that I sound, since it's a one vowel word that ends with a T, I'm spelling it with an IGH. There is chite. Excellent, you're getting it. Okay, yours is prite. Prite. Go ahead. Prite. Okay, so for prite, we have consonants PR at the beginning. It ends with a T. That T is a little hint that I know what's going to spell the I sound. Since it's a one vowel word, ends with a T, spell I, IGH. There's prite. Now, not all of the words that I'm going to give you today are going to follow this pattern. So far, the first 4 have been short words that end with a T. So we're going to use IGH. But if that's all I did this class, it would be too easy. Because I know this class. You can handle more than that. So I'm going to throw in some other words that don't follow that pattern, and I want those to be spelled with an I consonant silent E. That wasn't a hint. Maybe it was. I don't know for this next word, but I do want to set you up for success. So this next word is, let's do this one together. I think this is a real word. It's really hard to find nonsense words that follow this rule because there's so many real words that do. Anyway, this word is spire. Spire. So we have s, p, I, There's my vowel. Consonants. S, p, I, Are you with me so far? So for the I sound, I'm going to, since that's not a T, it's an R, I'm going to start with an I, but I can't end there because an I can only say I if there's another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. There's not, so I'm going to put 1. That's what that silent T is going to be for, to force that I to say I. Now it can say I. I didn't use an IGHT because it doesn't end with a T. I mean IGH. Okay, your word. Plied. 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 Good, good. Okay. Plied starts with a, hang on. Plied starts with a p, p. O, there's our vowel sound, and it ends with a d. So for the I sound, I'm going to start with an I. I can't end there, however, because that I in that word doesn't say I. In order for it to say I, there would have to be another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. There's not, so I'm going to put 1. And I didn't put an IGH here because it doesn't end in a T. Okay? Number 4, drite. Let's do this one together. Drite. D, I, T. Consonants. D, I, T. So is this going to be I consonant silent E or IGHT? What do you think? Let's go ahead and finish the word. Yeah, finish the word in the chat for me. I want this to say drite. right. Yep. We're putting the IGH there. GH is silent. We only hear the I. Why does the I say I why does this say I? I don't know, but it was taken from an Old English, ancient spelling of words that we still have just kind of used today. IGH and EIGH, those come from Old English, old language, and we just still use them. Why is the I sound spelled with IGH instead of something else before a T? Yeah, this is the typical pattern that there's a T after it. I don't know why, except for it was a common pattern in the Old English way of spelling words that we just continue to have to this day. So I'm not sure why it's a pattern. It just is. I mean, there might be a why. I just don't know it yet. But I'm still learning all the time. The more I learn, the more I'll share with you. Okay, your word is vite. Vite. Go ahead. Vite. All right. Yep. Good. So we're starting with the v, we're ending with the t. Since it's a one vowel word or one syllable word or a short word, either however you want to state that ends with a T, we're going to use the IGH in the middle. There's just lots of real world examples. Blight, plight, flight. There's some exceptions too, but there's a lot of real world examples. Sight, might, right. Yeah. Okay, let's do just a couple more. No more hints from me. And that saying that there was no more hints was not a hint either. At least I hope it wasn't. I wrote down your examples. Oh, I know where I can find it. Okay. All right, number 5 is slibe. Slibe. I'm going to let you do this one on your own. Slibe. Does IGH come before any other letters? Beautiful question. Such an intelligent question. In the chat, Nathan asks, does IGH come before any other letters? Yes, I believe it will come before a D once in a while, but more often it will just be the end of a word with nothing after it, like sigh, S-I-G-H, like a sigh, or nigh. There's some words where the IGH is at the very end. Most of the time there's going to be a T. I believe once in a while there will be a D, but I think that's it. It will never be at the beginning. Okay, our word is slibe. So we're going to start with our consonants. S, O, I, B. That's not a T, so this is not going to be an IGH. It's going to be a I consonant, silent T at the end. Could I have spelled this word like this? Can that say S in this spot? Now, this is not a question that I don't expect you to know the answer to because I haven't taught you this yet. So let me just answer it for you. A C will always say k. It will always make the K sound unless the next letter is an E, I, or Y. So C will always say k, but it will make the S sound if the very next letter is an E, I, or Y. So this would say Clybe. It couldn't say slibe here. If that L wasn't there, it can say Sibe. Does that make sense? That's a fun rule that I'm excited to teach you. That's coming up. Actually, it's pretty far down the year as far as our agenda, but I'll remind you of it every now and then because it's a pretty useful pattern. Let's do one more. Trite. Trite. Go ahead. And follow the spelling pattern that we've been learning today. There we are. Good. Excellent. There we are. Beautiful. Trite. So it begins with our consonants, t, and it ends with a consonant T. Since it's a one vowel word that ends with a T, that's where I put my IGH. How are you feeling about what you have learned today? Do you feel like you could teach something about IGH to somebody else? Do you know one thing now about IGH that you didn't a half hour ago? Oh, yeah. Hopefully you know that it says I. IGH says I. I had somebody in the Monday, Wednesday class say, and they're good readers. This person that made this comment is a pretty good reader. And he said, if I came to an unknown word that had IGH in it, I probably would have tried to sound out that G and that H. So now, after kind of training our brain to see IGH as a unit that says I, hopefully that subconscious automatic reading will come a little more easy, knowing that it's a one unit that makes one sound. And you also know, bonus, that it comes in small words that end with a T. That's a party trick. If you can tell people that at dinner, your friends and family, they will be so impressed. You'll blow their minds with your knowledge of what you're learning in spelling class. Were you able to find an answer for my question for when to use C or S for the S sound? Thank you for asking. I did do my research on that. And so when you're spelling, the question is, when do you use a C and when do you use an S when spelling? The answer was what I was afraid of. It was, you usually use a C if the next letter is an E, I, or Y, but not always. And the not always is kind of often. So that's why I was hesitant to say that answer, because the overlap, the inconsistencies are just so prevalent in that rule. It's not real. I don't even call it a rule or a pattern, because it's like a 60-40 percentage rather than what I like is like a 80 or 90, 10, 20. But we'll get there when we get to that lesson. We're going to follow the majority, where if the next letter is an E, I, or Y, spell it with a C. But that's not a hard, fast rule. It's just most of the time. All right, my friends, you are amazing. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye, everybody.